Welcome back to the channel, everybody. We got the review of Paramount Plus's Halo TV series, episode 8, titled Allegiance. We start out with Master Chief and McKee having a little reminiscent of their, what seemed to be their meeting of the minds or virtual meeting within, or rather on, the Halo, Installation 04, as we assume. We're episode 8, and we really still haven't seen Halo, so I don't know if we're going to actually see it, like, actually be able to get on the planet, like, all the Marines and everything. We might not get that till next season, so. Looking like maybe what I said is possibly going to come true, but, I mean, we did see Halo, technically, so, but. They're doing a little reminiscent of that, trying to figure it out. Was it real? Was it in their minds? Were they just, you know, did it actually happen? What's going on? Well, you know, after that, with that, the chief decides that, you know what, I need to go ahead and pay a visit to McKee. See if she was seeing what I was seeing. So he goes to get her. He brings her what appears to be similar to a Spartan uniform, a jumpsuit, military jumpsuit of some sort. And with that, they go for a walk. And what I assume would be New Alexandria. She's a little nervous at first, though, when they approach the gates to heading out to the city. However, Chief tells her, there's nothing to worry about. Relax. I got you. So, they walk out. They take their brisk walk. She starts having a little bit of memories and flashes back to the trash planet that she was on with her friend, reading that story describing all the things that she's seen in physical form now. The trees, the grass, peace. No war, no chaos, children running around. She makes a quote from the book. The chief asks her, hey, what's that? And so she tells him about the story that her friend read to her. And with that, we cut to a scene with the Admiral and Captain Keyes. Now, they are spying on them, as are many of the other parties. But, with that being said, spying on them, watching what they're doing, the Admiral has fears and concerns that possibly the Master Chief may figure out that her and Captain Keyes are behind the kidnapping of him. Captain Keyes assures her that that's not the case and that's not what's going on. So, after that we go to a scene with Cortana, Dr. Halsey, and Dr. Halsey's assistant, where they're discussing the Master Chief's health and how he's kind of returned to normal and he's no longer really feeling any type of crazy and fluctuation and whatnot. And Cortana is real enthusiastic about it. And Dr. Halsey's assistant makes a comment to her, and she says, well, I'm very happy. I'm very concerned about the Master Chief, and I'm happy that he's feeling better, because now I'm inside of his head. Now I'm controlling things. So, with that, we cut back to the Master Chief and McKee, still walking through what is New Alexandria, walking up to a hill, till eventually that they will get on the top of the hill, and they'll start discussing the events of Halo and what they've seen. Now, whether or not it was real or not is left up for discussion. So when the Master Chief brings it up, she says, yes, I seen all of that stuff too. You know, I seen it all. It was real. It happened. And then the Master Chief asks her, well, why did the Covenant want it so bad? She then makes a quote that all those who are worthy will be propelled as gods into a great journey in the beyond, which is a direct quote from the games, which allows me to believe, do the producers and directors really not read any of the books, the games? Because that's a pretty hardcore quote right there. Not something general that everybody would know, like the Spartans' names or whatnot. After that, the Master Chief is he's called over by a couple Marines, obviously not very, or military police that were obviously working for the Admiral and the captain, telling them they need to put McKee back in her cell. After that, we cut to a scene where the Admiral, Captain Keyes, and many other UNSC personnel are watching a video of a moon in one of the outer colonies that the humans were on that had been glassed by a Covenant fleet. So this is our first physical look at what happens when the Covenant cause actual destruction to a planet. They glass it, so to speak. And it's crazy. It's insane. A lot of people are freaking out. Captain Keyes tells them to cut the feed and that they cannot go assist these people due to the code protocol. Now, for those of you that don't know what the code protocol is, hardcore legends knowledge for you here. This is also one of the things where I'm like, did they really not read anything? The Code Protocol was a enactment, a secret order that was enacted in case the Covenant ever destroyed an outer colony, that lingering data, navigational data that ever pointed towards Earth or its outer colonies was to be destroyed immediately, so the Covenant would never find it. I'm sorry, the inner colonies, not the outer colonies, but the inner colonies. That was to keep Earth safe. Now, that is something very, very hardcore in the lore of Halo, and I'm not really sure exactly where they got that from. If they didn't read any of the books, they didn't read any of the stuff at all, so interesting. After that, we're at a scene real quick with Vanek and Riz, to where they are trying to diagnose, where Riz is trying to diagnose the navigational data from a Phantom to try and find the Covenant base, homeworld, wherever they're coming from. To which Riz tells Vanek that it's a little complicated, and Vanek responds saying the Covenant are ugly, not stupid. And then Vanek questions Riz about Kai and her status. Riz replies with saying that she thinks she's getting better. The Spartans being kind of robotic machine soldiers, Vanek kind of looks at her funny like, I need like absolutes here. Like, is she ready or is she combat fit? Like, what's going on? Don't give me these riddles. Don't play around. Like, I need to know what's going on. I can't assume in these riddles that you're speaking of or whatnot. So, which I get it. This is how the Spartans are supposed to be. Machines, robots, soldiers. Not full of emotion and some of these other things going on. But anyways, next we cut to Kai, where Kai is fully embracing the fact that she no longer has the emotional chip inside of her that sustains her emotions, keeps her emotions from rising up to the top. She is with a bunch of Marines, and she's showing off the strength of the Spartans for the Marines' sporting favor. Obviously, they were making gambling bets and whatnot. Some of them lost, some of them won. So Kai really fully taking in the fact that her emotional suppressor chip is no longer in her body, and she is doing what she needs to, doing what she is feeling, essentially. So, and I thought it was actually pretty cool. They saw her lift up to really like show the actual strength of the Spartans and how strong the Spartans really are. Like, I don't think most people realize this, like what they're actually capable of doing. So it was pretty cool to see her lift up a Warhog. I can't remember what that other thing was that she lifted up, but lift up the Warhog with the Marines in it, and they're all shouting and cheering, and they all think it's pretty great, cool, and awesome, and which, I mean, it is. It's great to finally see that come into play and that come into effect. So, moving on to our next scene, we cut to Dr. Miranda Keyes. Have to get used to calling her this, for real. Dr. Miranda Keyes trying to decipher the code from the Gladius, the ship that McKay and her Legally, I can't remember what the hunter's actual name is called, but the worm form of the hunters, when they're not in their solid form, took over and destroyed. She's busy trying to analyze that data from that, trying to pick out the other voice that the Sangheili are speaking to. Can't really decipher it with any of the audio issues or audio mixers and whatnot that she's trying to use, so it's not working out for her. As she's doing that, though, she gets a visit from her father. They have a little bit of father-daughter bonding, which I can appreciate, being one myself. He gives some encouraging words to her that she'll figure it out, and that the Master Chief is going to need her for a test that him and Maki are going to be a part of, trying to figure out where the Halo is together. Captain Keyes wants Dr. Keyes to observe that in case any funny business goes on, that way she can shut it down immediately. She says, okay, no problem, I will be there when instructed. Moving on to our next scene. Master Chief goes to visit Maki, tells the guards outside that they are relieved of their duty, which this already got a little suspect for me immediately when he told the guards to go away. I was like, oh boy, here we go. We're going down this route. This is one of the routes I did not want to see the Master Chief go down, but I'm not the writer of this show. I'm not the director of this show. It is what it is, so just have to deal with it, I suppose. But Master Chief and Maki have a little bit of a moment where the Master Chief brings her that book that she was describing to him. He tries to find a copy. It's not the exact copy, obviously, she had before, and he says she's welcome to it. If she doesn't, they have a whole library of other books. She's pleased. She's happy. They begin to show a little bit of affection, and I don't really think I need to go into details. They they get right to that the human recreation process. Yeah, game over, all right. And I thought we were going to get this last episode, and I guess pretty much they've teased it. And you know what? While I'm not the most massive fan of it, because as a Spartan, I don't see the Spartans thinking with the other head, not the one that's on their shoulders. I just don't. I don't see them not doing that. So to me, this is just a little weird, and still just not really. It's just strange. But anyways, McKee wakes up after obviously they've gone to sleep after their little session, and she goes to rip what I believe is her little energy sword out of her finger. Not really sure why, but she ripped it out. Maybe she's beginning to trust John, the humans, whatnot. Maybe she's being fooled, like the prophet said. She's gonna forget who her people are. So with that, she does that. The Master Chief wakes up from sleeping, and she gets back into the bed like nothing happened. To which we get a voiceover a little bit, and then cut to a scene with Dr. Halsey, Cortana, and the assistant. To which now they're excited that John has a quote-unquote girlfriend, so now Dr. Halsey is thinking, oh, maybe I can use this chick to my advantage. Then Dr. Halsey is paid a visit by Captain Keyes, saying that the Admiral wants her gone at the precise time that the experiment with McKee and John is supposed to begin. Dr. Halsey knows this, clearly figures it out, and is like, all right, I gotta get out. I gotta figure out a way out of this. So she contacts McKee using her entertainment center, quote unquote, the television, hacks into it, contacts McKee after John leaves, and tries to help convince her that John and her need Dr. Halsey in order to really figure out what's going on with the artifacts, and that it cannot be left in the hands of humanity. That it cannot be left there. It's not good. To which McKee responds saying, oh, you don't like humanity. You don't trust them. She's like, no, I like humanity, but I don't trust the humans. You're correct. To which, of course, this is one of the realistic aspects that happened in the show that I was really excited about, that the guard actually comes in and is like, who are you talking to? Because realistically, if you're talking that loud, somebody's going to hear you outside of a door regardless. So the guard comes in, checks, sees there's nobody there. Halsey tries to contact her again, to which McKee, halfway through the conversation, starts kind of freaking out. It's like, you know what, Dr. Halsey, I don't want to talk to you anymore. You seem a little crazy. I trust John. John's the only person I trust. I don't want anything to do with you or anybody else, so please leave me alone. To which she cuts Halsey off. She goes into a little bit of a corner, kind of freaking out, and is like, you know what, this isn't for me. Like, I don't like this, so I'm not cool with this. And you know what? That's fine. That is perfectly fine, because Dr. Halsey is a little crazy. I don't particularly remember her being this crazy within the books and the other games. Maybe I didn't pay attention enough, but I don't recall her being this crazy. So they've definitely upped the notch a little bit, which, Also, Dr. Halsey, I forgot to mention, Dr. Halsey did tell Captain Keyes earlier that she was willing to sacrifice anything and everything in order to achieve what she's trying to achieve. So obviously we see where her goals and motivation is at. To which now, here's where we get into a little bit something I never knew. Wonder if this is from the books, games, or something that I didn't catch. A Z protocol. Dr. Halsey contacts all the Spartans, Vanek, Riz, and Kai, saying that the Z protocol has been initiated, which, to my knowledge and guess now, is that the protocol is similar to what Palpatine has in Star Wars with Order 66, to where, you're following my command, my direct command only, and you're serving this, and that. Well, Dr. Halsey clearly has a back channel to the Spartans, where in case something went wrong, she'd be able to directly connect to them and have them help her with some secret mission. So the Z protocol is initiated. Dr. Halsey tells them that they are to retrieve McKay and the Master Chief and the artifact and bring them to her on her ship before she is forced to depart, and then they go find the Halos together. Now, once that happens, though, Kai is not very, I won't say willing, but she's a little confused and disheartened simply because her emotion suppressor chip has now been removed, keep in mind. So she's feeling all these emotions like, well, we've been with the Chief for so long, we care for the Chief, we love the Chief would never betray us. He doesn't need to be, rendered unconscious, as Dr. Halsey says Cortana will be able to do. He doesn't need to be rendered unconscious. There's got to be another way. There's got to be another way we can figure this out. We can't do this. And Miranda seeing that, or not Miranda, I'm sorry, but Dr. Halsey seeing that Kai's been compromised on her screen, you know, she's like, okay, I got to figure out a way to get around this now. So once Dr. Halsey cuts the comms directly with Kai, she gives Riz and Vanek a specific order to attack and disable Kai. Bind her to a solid structure, go retrieve the Master Chief, Makai, and the artifact, and bring them to her, which I thought was interesting. I don't really like all this inner Spartan drama because, again, they're all supposed to be robots. They're supposed to be following orders directly to the T. You know, we're not supposed to be having these emotions and these issues with these. It's not who these Spartans are. But it makes for good action that we get later on in the episode. So at least that was pleasant. But I just, like I said, I'm just not the biggest fan of the inner Spartan drama going on. So, but once we get past that, we get into a new scene. An interesting scene where I thought really the drama was getting ready to spice up. And that scene was where Dr. Halsey tells Cortana, once we have the Master Chief in custody, we will probably no longer need him, so you'll be able to assumably take full control of his body, be in complete control of everything of him. Because we only need Maquis in order to access the artifacts. And after that scene, we get to a scene where Dr. Miranda Keyes is analyzing that audio once again, but she is told that it is time to go to the experiment. To which something catches her attention within this audio log. She finally is able to decipher it, messing with all the different audio settings, filters, mixers, all that good stuff. And once she's able to decipher, it catches her attention that the voice that the other Sangheili officer, soldier, commander, whatever he may be, is talking to is a female human's. None other than Maquis, which all of us as the viewer knew. As the viewers, we know this. But the UNSC did not. So now once they figured it out, Miranda tries to contact her father, to which Dr. Halsey has disabled the comms to all the inner base comms. So now Miranda's freaking out because she can't contact anybody. She gives an order to her assistant to scrub that audio, get it clear, and she has to run to go off and catch her father before everything goes down. Now we have John and Maquis inside an elevator, to which Maquis questions John, you know, what's going to happen after we find Halo? Chief says we're going to destroy the Covenant. Well, what happens after we destroy the Covenant? He says, I guess we'll see. To which it doesn't make her feel any better. Kai and Vanek, I'm sorry, not Kai, but Kai and Riz are in position, or Vanek and Riz are in position to ambush the Master Chief and Maquis. Now, obviously we can see the mixed emotions and feelings on Cortana's face, which she's directly feeling things probably for the Master Chief and wanting to be able to keep him safe and protected. We cut to a scene where the Admiral, the Sergeant, the prison guard, I thought they were going to name him Sergeant Johnson, and I was going to be a little upset by that if that was Sergeant Johnson. Captain Keyes walks in the room. They see the artifact. She tells him that hopefully this is the hope that'll keep everybody safe or destroy all of us. We cut back to the Chief and Maquis walking down a hallway, getting ready to be ambushed by the other two Spartans of Silver Team, to which Cortana tries to warn the Chief, to which Chief doesn't want to listen to her. Maquis kind of is like, who are you talking to? Because obviously she can't hear Cortana's voice. Chief tells Cortana to go away, and eventually Cortana has to get a little stern with him in a sense and say, you know what? Listen. Zend protocol has been initiated, to which the Chief is like, oh boy, alrighty. The rest of the Silver Team is going to ambush you. You need to go away. To which the Chief acknowledges it, and he's like, all right. He looks at Maquis. I don't know why I keep doing that. I'm sorry. Maquis tells her to go away, kind of yells at her a little bit, scare her away, and says, you need to go. We're going to be ambushed. Get out of here. Go find a Marine and get help. Once he tells her this, Chief goes off to confront Silver Team. And this is what I'm talking about when I say I don't like the inner Spartan drama, because I don't feel like this is necessary for these guys to be fighting like this at all. Plenty of other action we can do between the humans and the Covenant. But I guess this is easier on the budget, maybe. Who knows? John goes to confront the Spartans, gets into a brawl with it. First off, of course, is Vanek, tries to ambush him. John fights back, but he's only able to do so much not having his armor on. And with the other two Spartans being armored up, John is able to disable Vanek, get his BR, points at him, says, look, this, whatever you heard, it's not true. This is not how it's going down. Dr. Halsey's lying to you. We need to talk about this. We need to figure this out. We don't need to be enemies here. To which Riz shows up, gives Vanek a little bit of help, and together they're able to kind of double team and put the Master Chief down and kind of corner him a little bit. To which McKee is watching a little bit of this fight from a distance and then decides to take off. She came back to try and help the Chief, but then decides to take off to go get assistance. Which, dude, come on. You can't fight 2 Spartans. You cannot fight 2 fully... I should do 2 non-armored Spartans, let alone fully armored. Now, in this process, Kai manages to wake up, free herself, take off, finds a Marine, give the Marine an order to make sure that Dr. Halsey's ship cannot take off. That it is to be shot down if it tries to leave the planet. To which the Marine follows the order, gets a bunch of people, and they go out and they make sure the ship stays grounded. Master Chief and Vanek and Riz continue to square off and fight in a 2v1. Master Chief holding them off as best she can with the assistance of Cortana telling him weakness spots, where to move, how to dodge. You can kind of see a little bit of that chemistry starting to build between the Master Chief and Cortana, and it's a little bit interesting, and I'm liking that. Seeing how like powerful they are together in live action. Not being the video game player or anything, just kind of seeing how they work together and how that would work, and it's great. I like it a lot. So one of the things I really do enjoy about this show. Master Chief, of course, gets beat down, put down, overwhelmed by the 2 Spartans. Then Kai shows up to assist him, giving him assist. Manages to put put distance between the 2 other Spartans, her and the Master Chief. And pulls out a pistol, trying to hold back, but she can't fight both the Spartans or can't aim at both the Spartans. So, of course, Riz has a clear shot at the Master Chief. Direct shot to the head. Basically could kill him because he's not armored up. To which Vanek gives her an order to kill, but she seems a little hesitant on it. She doesn't do it right away. Then we get to a scene with Captain Keyes and the Admiral back in the room with the artifact, to which they try to contact Miranda Keyes to try and figure out where the Chief is at. You know, where's McKee at? What's going on? They start to realize that the comms are down. McKee shows up, explains to them what's going on with the 2 Spartans attacking the Chief and Dr. Halsey, and that Cortana was assisting the Master Chief. Well, at first, nobody believes her, but then they start to realize that the comms being down, you know what, she might be right. But, just in that nick of a second, Miranda Keyes shows up to tell her father and the Admiral that McKee was the voice on the Gladius, the ones who killed everybody, responsible for killing everybody on that ship. To which McKee responds saying that I didn't have a choice, I was forced to. To which they don't believe her, obviously. Now, with that being said, McKee is put to the ground and burned. Burned by the artifact, or burned by the weapon that the Marine that the sergeant has, and it kind of takes her back a little bit to her childhood, to where, you know, she was being tortured by that same type of weapon. Once she's brought up, however, the Admiral tells her, you know, you're going to pay for all this. To which McKee responds in Sangheili, or maybe the Prophet's language, I'm not really sure which one, that you're going to be the one who pays. So once that occurs, she touches the artifact. She reaches out and touches the artifact, and it disintegrates, sends everybody back flying, and then also disrupts the Spartan fight, to where Riz doesn't even have the opportunity to make that shot anymore. So, now that that's all back, we flash into a quick scene with the Master Chief back on Halo, seeing McKee stand up. I keep doing that, and I don't know why. McKee standing up above him saying, "Goodbye, John." Master Chief being a little disappointed and upset. Tries to grunt out a no, tries to hold her, but it doesn't work. He's sent right back to Reach. Back into the garage to where he was fighting the other 2 members of Spartan Silver Team. Other two of the other members. 2 out of 4. You guys know what I mean. Well, I thought that was interesting. Not quite as much action as I thought we were going to get, and I thought maybe this was going to be where we were going to actually be projecting ourselves into Halo. But, you know, hey, it is what it is. That's what we get. It was cool. I give this episode, I don't know, we'll say 2.5 out of 5. I'll give it about 50%. Decent action, decent dialogue. There were some things in there I didn't like. Obviously, the whole connection between McKee and the Master Chief. Not a big fan of that, but hey, you know, it is what it is. Still Halo. Hopefully we get something good in the season finale next week. Episode 9, that's it. But I'm honestly not sure how much more of this I can honestly take and deal with, so it is what it is. But alright, guys. Appreciate you checking out the video. Let me know what you guys think below. Comment, like, subscribe. You guys know what it is. Don't miss out on anything we got going on here. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll see you guys in the next video.